Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon, let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from Los Angeles. I'm Alex Curry here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Good morning, guys. How are we doing today?
Good morning. Good morning.
I was so shocked and so saddened to hear of John Madden's passing just 3 days after we here on Fox had aired that powerful documentary about his life and impact on Christmas Day.
Right. And the thing is, Skip, it is really sad, but at least he got an opportunity to hear people give him his flowers. And now we're about to give him some more flowers.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we'll get to Lakers and Cowboys in a few minutes, but let's first start by paying respect to John Madden, who passed away yesterday at the age of 85. His influence on the sport of football is impossible to overstate. Madden was a legendary figure known to one generation as a Hall of Fame coach, another generation as a sport's greatest announcer, and yet another generation for the video game that bears his name. Shannon, how will you remember John Madden?
As a larger-than-life figure, Skip, and the thing that he started out as is he's least known for, and that is a Hall of Fame with Super Bowl winning coach.
Yep.
I'm old enough to remember John Madden, the football coach. I'm also old enough to remember having him call some of my football games and understanding how special that was, realizing that he was the number one team. Skip, he started out at CBS, and the thing was, when he originally started out, he was not paired with Pat Summerall. I'm old enough to remember Pat Summerall was paired with Tom Brookshier. You remember that.
Do I?
And then he came to Fox. Then he went to Monday Night Football. Then he went to Sunday Night Football on NBC. So he's been called football games, Super Bowl and big games for all major networks that had the NFL. And Skip, I think the thing is that he took the very complex game of football and made it simple. Skip, we can get into a bunch. We can get a 3-by-1. We can get fire zone. We can get cover 5. But that's not what he did. He made it simple. He said, what the Dallas Cowboys are trying to do here, they're trying to get Evan Smith in this alley. And what they do, they took Nate Newton, and they took Mark Stepnoski, and they powered through here, and they pulled Eric Williams around. And you see here, he did a boom. Skip, he was animated. We haven't seen that since. He's the gold standard in commentary because just like he was animated on the sideline, he was animated in the booth. He heard the boom, the bam, and the circling of the sweat and the perspiration when it was cold and guys were sweating, and he would circle that. He made it cool to do all of that. Skip, and another thing. On Thanksgiving, wasn't nobody giving out no turkey. Wasn't nobody giving out no turducken, no dressing, no pies. He did that. Now everybody give you a meal on Thanksgiving, don't he, Skip?
Turducken.
He did that.
You know what it was? It was turkey and duck and chicken.
Yes.
All rolled into one. Okay.
And I'm like, because when I first saw it, I was like, hold up. A turkey ain't got that many legs. How you got 8 legs on a turkey? But somehow he came up with that, Skip. And like I said, when you go in those production meetings before the night before the Saturday before the game, Skip, and have him talk to you, and he would always ask me, how's your brother? Covered my brother a lot, obviously with the NFC, Fox having the NFC, he covered my brother a lot. Brett Favre talked about he narrated basically his career because
he did.
It's kind of like the Cowboys and the Packers in the 90s. That was it. Also the 49ers. And Scott, he would always ask me when he come do some of the Broncos game, he would ask me, how's your brother? He said, your brother was on the Hall of Fame arc. He was going to have a great career. He would tell me, Mike said, you turn yourself into a great block. Skip, he was just so personable. He was just such a great man. And I think that, if you're probably 10 years or younger, you only know him as the Madden game. And if you're probably 30 years, you don't realize that you probably only know him as a broadcaster. Somebody you and I age, you understand the transition that he transitioned to and became great at all. The winning percentage in which he had at the Raiders, Skip, in 10 years, he only lost 32 games. In 10 years. And to transition to become a broadcaster, and he said, well, I didn't really want to be a broadcaster, but I got out of football and they asked me to do it. And I was like, well, if I don't do it, they might not ever ask me again. And he never looked back. Skip, he's the gold standard. When it comes to color, there's a lot of guys that do it, and there's a lot of guys that do it well at our network and other networks. Ain't bad. He just had a way with it. It's giving the man cruiser, when the man cruiser put, because he wouldn't fly. He was afraid of something happened early in his career that he didn't get on a flight and something happened. And he
also was just claustrophobic.
He was afraid of heights. Mr. Summerall was explaining that. Skip, and that bus, the man cruiser, when you see that thing pull up, you out there practice on a Friday, Skip, and you see that thing pull up in the parking lot, it's a big game. You might have thought it was a big game because you played. Nah. It needed him and Mr. Summerall to pull up for you to realize the magnitude of the game because it was going to 75, 80% of the country. There wasn't no regional, there wasn't no situation going to only be broadcast in your area. When Coach Madden showed up, Mr. Summerall showed up, Skip, you better play a bit on your best behavior because everybody's watching and you wanted him to say great things. Skip, I would go home and listen to, because I have the game recorded. I want to hear what Coach Madden said about me. Did I play good? Was I one of those great players that I've heard him talked about before I got into the NFL? Oh, okay, that's me. Skip, it's a sad, sad day for the NFL because they lost a great coach. They lost a great broadcaster. They lost a great man. Yeah, the video game, Skip, that bears his name in 1988. And a lot of our generation, that's all they know him for. But he was so much more than that. And I'm so glad that he got an opportunity to see what people actually thought of him and to hear them. Because a lot of that, Skip, was hearing him, hearing what others said about him. So it's a sad, sad day for the sporting world, for the football community. But that was a great man, and I'm glad I got an opportunity to know who John Madden was.
Thank you for everything you just said. And I would also like to point out that John Madden created the gold standard of all-star teams called the All-Madden team. And Shannon Sharpe and his brother Sterling made the All-Madden team.
5 times.
And when you speak about it, it's almost like it was the highlight of your whole career, including being enshrined in Canton in the Hall of Fame.
It was, Skip, because you know what Coach Madden represented. And for him to think that, okay, there's only so many guys. Everybody, it wasn't like 75, 80 guys made it. There was only like 11 guys on offense, 11 guys on defense, and you had your specialists. And if he thought that you were all Madden, it meant something. Guys really sincerely, Skip, wanted that leather jacket. They wanted that T-shirt or that sweatshirt that came along with being selected to that ball club. Ask Michael Irvin, ask Emmett, ask Troy, ask those guys that made the team how much it meant to get that package in the mail that had that jacket that had all Madden on the back. I wanted to get it, Skip, but I wouldn't have been able to get it here in time. But let people see what it meant, because I still have mine, all 5 of them, lined up in my closet.
Good for you. I obviously didn't play your game, but I've covered your game for a long, long time. And I've had the opportunity to spend lots of time around and get to know a lot of the greatest coaches in the history of your game. And back in 1977, late in that football season, the year after they won their Super Bowl.
Minnesota. Out here was it in the Coliseum?
Right out here at the Rose Bowl.
Rose Bowl.
They were 12-2 at this point in the next year, and they were about to play the Rams at the Coliseum in a big national game. So the LA Times sent me up to Oakland to spend the whole week before with those Raiders. That was the Renegade Raiders, the runaway Renegade Raiders. There has never been a collection of misfits and psycho personalities like the group that John Madden was coaching at the highest level at that point. And it was one of the wildest weeks of my life. But I got to spend some time around Coach Madden. And my biggest takeaway from that week was he's coaching lots of Hall of Fame bound players. And our younger viewers are not going to be able to appreciate this, but I'm talking about Ken Snake Stabler. I'm talking about Fred Biletnikoff, one of the great possession receivers in the history of the game.
You have an award named after him in college football.
Thank you. Dave Casper, the Ghost.
The Ghost. The Ghost to the post.
Cliff Branch, one of the greatest deep threats in the history of this game. Ray Guy, the greatest punter in the history of this game. Gene Upshaw and Art Shell, both of whom went on to do great things post-football, but they were 2 of the greatest tandem offensive linemen in the history of this game.
They were.
John Matuzak was one of the all-time craziest characters in the history of this game. So was Otis Sistrunk. You remember him?
I do remember Otis.
And you want to talk about a defensive backfield with the great Willie Brown. He was right up there. He's up there with Revis and Dion. He's in the league.
Old man Willie. We got the pick, and you see it on NFL film when he's running down the sideline against the Minnesota Vikings.
And then the 2 safeties, Jack Tatum, the fiercest hitter at safety ever, and George Atkinson, one of the great trash talkers in the history of the game. That's that group that I covered for that week.
You left out Ted. With Ted Hendricks, I don't think he was there then.
Okay.
He was there.
I'm not sure. He wasn't a starter on that team. But the point was, to a man, before, during this time and then after this time when I would see these guys post-career, I never heard one negative word about John Madden. I am here to tell you that no players I have ever covered loved their coach more than this group loved John Madden. And he had only 2 rules. You show up on time for everything, meetings, planes, kickoff. You show up on time and you play your ass off. That's all he asked, was those 2 things. And you do it with discipline on the field, because he would not tolerate offsides or false starts or any of those things. He would not tolerate it. They played clean football. They played fierce football. This was the most physical football team I have ever seen. John Madden and this group invented what I call Raiders mystique, because they had it.
It was all about intimidation football, Skip.
Okay, so in all my years of covering all those other great coaches, 2/3 of the players, half the players, a quarter of the players, they just wouldn't like him because he was a taskmaster. He was a tyrant.
Especially during those times.
Yeah, it was all of the above. And I don't want to name names, but you know who I'm talking about. Everybody else had something wrong with him according to the players. And yet this guy was more beloved by players than anybody who ever coached. So I want our younger viewers to understand that he invented this art of coaching by saying, just be yourself. I don't care who you are. It doesn't matter what your hair is, because his hair was crazy wild. Madden, and he was once described as looking like an unmade bed. And he did look like he didn't care what he looked like. He wore a sideline pass during games on a string, and it was just flopping in the wind, and it just looked like, are you just some guy on the sideline? Or you like a photog? Or what are you? Well, I'm the coach of the Raiders. And his shirt tail was halfway out, and he didn't care how he looked.
He did not.
He never cared how he looked as a broadcaster. It was all in the presentation of what actually goes on the air, what actually goes on the football field. What do you put on tape? What does it look like? Well, it looked like a Super Bowl. That's what it looked like. So to me, his greatest attribute was he was up there with the greatest coaches ever. And I can only give you one stat that will validate that. You realize his winning percentage of 75.9% of the games that he coached in the regular season, he's 103. You said 32 losses. He won 103 games, lost 32, and tied 7. For any coach with at least 100 victories, that is the highest winning percentage in the history of football. And I believe that his broadcasting, and then the greatest video game ever attached to his name, overshadowed the fact that this is who he was. And he always said, people ask me, am I a broadcaster or am I the video game guy? I'm a football coach. And it all translated into the video game, because they came to him and said, we want to do 7-on-7 in the video, because that's all that we can get in there. No, I refuse. And it took him 2 years to figure out, because he said no to getting 11-on-11. So you have to get the full compliment, because he's a coach.
Because here's the thing, Skip. The reason why people think of him a broadcaster and a Madden, because he did both of those things longer than he coached. He was a broadcaster. He only coached for 10 years. Now he was a broadcaster for 30 years, and the game bears his name for 1988. So almost 34 years, the game bears his name. So he did those things, but it just goes to show you that how great he was at the ladder, that it overshadowed his greatness in the beginning.
It absolutely did.
Very few guys, and you know this, being around this and being on television, there are a lot of guys that can talk. When we're just in production meetings, or we're just off camera, they can talk. But when that red dot goes on in that camera, they freeze up. He was able to, a lot of people can talk about it, can say it, but he could do it. He could translate it in the simplest of terms for people that did not play the game of football, that doesn't know what a fire zone is, or doesn't know what a cover 5 or cover 6 or a skip or bunch formation is. They don't know that. He gave it to you in simplest of terms. If somebody comes, somebody needs to replace the guy on the defensive side that came on the blitz. The guy didn't replace him. The receiver saw it. The quarterback saw him. They were on the same page. Touchdown. That's it, Skip. It's not no 3-by-1 where, you had a fire zone week and the guy went away and nobody came. He didn't do that.
Nope.
Because he's like, hold on, unless you're a football guy and you do this every single day, you're not going to understand what I'm saying. Let me give you basically, Skip, there's a book called Something for Dummies. There's computers for dummies or golf for dummies. Coach Madden made football for dummies. The casual fan that didn't really understand football, he made it in the simplest of terms and said, well, here you go. This is it. It's so easy for you to digest.
He did. Okay, one other story to drive home how much he meant to his players and how much he loved football players, how much he loved Shannon Sharpe and Sterling Sharpe, was the Darryl Stingley incident. And I know our younger viewers are not going to be able to remember this, but this was the night of August the 12th in 1978. It was a preseason game in Oakland, New England visiting. Steve Grogan was the quarterback and threw an errant pass to Darryl Stingley, who had just agreed to a contract. He hadn't signed it yet, but they had negotiated a deal that was about to make him the highest paid receiver in all of pro football. And Jack Tatum, aforementioned by me, fiercest hitter in the game.
They call him the assassin.
Yep, the assassin. He came in, and it was not an illegal hit. He just caught him just right, as sometimes happen. It was like a very unfortunate accident, but he caught him just right as he went up and left his feet to try to catch a pass that was virtually uncatchable.
Right.
And it sent Darryl Stingley on a stretcher to the hospital. And John Madden, after that game, was so distraught about what he had seen on that football field that he went to that hospital. I'm not exaggerating this a bit, to see how Darryl was. And he found that he was in even worse shape than John thought, because he became a quadriplegic after this, because it shattered vertebrae up in the top of the spine. And Madden was irate that no Patriots officials, no coaches, no players, nobody was there for Darryl Stingley except the coach of the other team, John Madden.
Right.
He spent the night with him, and he immediately called the airport to see if he could catch somebody from New England to say, hey, he's in trouble, man. Right. Somebody needs to come and be with this young man.
Right.
And he was patched through all the way to the team charter, which was taxiing at that point. And he said, would you please send somebody back? So they taxied back to the gate, and the business manager got off and came back to the hospital and stayed with Darryl. John Madden continued to visit Darryl Stingley at the hospital, a rival player. That's who he was. Trust me, I know all these coaches. They can be cold-blooded, they can be heartless, they can be ruthless. Right. He was none of the above, but he succeeded as a human on the most human level because he let players be players, and they knew that he loved them.
He might have been the first players coach then, huh?
He was the ultimate players coach. So to your point that you opened up with, I got moved watching the documentary on Fox on Christmas Day. Ernestine got mad at me because I said, I got to watch the whole thing. She wanted to do Christmas before the game started. Right. And at the end of it, I got choked up. I got teary-eyed. I texted our man, Eric Shanks, who runs this network, that this was so moving that I actually cried at the end. And I would like to remind those who might not have seen it how this ended and get back to your original point, please.
And I'm saving this spot here for the greatest of them all, number 56, Lawrence Taylor.
John Madden looked into my heart, and he realized what type of player I am and what type of person I am. And maybe everybody else didn't. John Madden made me a better player. Simple as that. Case closed. That's it.
Whoa. That was something. When I hear that stuff, it makes me realize that what I didn't realize probably.
And that's how it ended. And I got choked up because my pet peeve about life is people come and they go and they pass, and then we eulogize them. And I always think, God, if only they could have been here to hear what we're saying, because we don't say it while they're living.
Right.
And fatefully and fortunately, the silver lining to all this is Coach Madden actually got to sit back and have all this hit him from all angles. It's an hour and a half long. I recommend you should go back if you haven't seen it and watch it, because it will get you.
Yep.
The impact of what he meant to all of football. And he got to hear it. He got to hear the greatest defensive player ever say, you looked into my heart and you told me what I could be.
Right.
And I became that. You, Coach Madden, made me a better player. And Coach is saying, I realize now what I never realized while I was going through it.
Yeah.
Well, how great was that?
Yes.
At least that happened.
Skip,
right?
I mean, hey, when I'm negotiating my colleague, I'm on the all-man team. Y'all talk about Pro Bowls. Y'all talk about, hey, I'm on the all-man team also. That's what I said, Skip. Guys, color guys need to be careful using that term great. John Madden didn't call everybody great. If he called you a great player, the LTs, the Jerry Rices, it meant something. It carried weight to have John Madden say that about you. That's why I'm saying, Skip, man, I just want John Madden to say one time, did he say I was great? Did he say Shannon Sharpe had a great game? That meant something because that guy that coached the Super Bowl, that had been around all these great players, Shannon Sharpe's one of them, or that guy's one of them. That means something.
Yep.
And you hear LT, like you said, universally regarded as the greatest defensive player ever, say that man looked in my eyes, looked into my soul, and told me what I could become. I became that. I owe that to him. I owe my career to him.
To him. So I conclude with two quotes from two of the most important men, decision makers in your sport of professional football in the National Football League. Roger Goodell, obviously the commissioner. Trust me, any huge decision he had to make, even to the last week of his life, Roger would call John to pick his brain. What do you think we should do? Which way should we go here?
Right.
Because Roger's conclusion was he was football.
Yeah.
And that brings me to my owner, Jerry Jones. He can say a lot of wacky things, but I loved what he said about Coach Madden yesterday. I am not aware of anyone who has made a more meaningful impact on the National Football League than John Madden. That's it. I can't sum it up any greater than Jerry summed it up. And Jerry's been around and seen it all and knows what of he speaks. That's a statement.
You know why Commissioner Goodell would call Coach Madden? For the simple fact is, it was about football. It was not about the business side. It was about football.
Yep.
What can you do to make the game of football better?
Yep.
Not how much money you can make the players, how much more money you can make the owners. How can you make the game of football better?
Right.
And they knew that's where it came from. Everything that he said was about the game of football and making it better.
Well said.
And we will continue to remember John Madden's legacy as all of us at Fox Sports are saddened by John Madden's passing, including CEO Eric Shanks, who was an essential part of Madden's game broadcast crew in the 80s and 90s. In a statement on behalf of Fox Sports, Shanks wrote, quote, "We are heartbroken by the passing of our great friend, colleague, and cornerstone, John Madden. On behalf of the entire Fox Sports family, past, present, and future, we will forever be part of John's team. We are all better for having known him, one of the greatest coaches and broadcasters of all time. John is an icon who will live on forever in our hearts and memories. Our thoughts and prayers are with Virginia, Mike, Joe, and the entire Madden family." More Undisputed coming up after the break.
No mercy.
LeBron and Westbrook both finished with a triple-double last night to beat the Rockets 132-123 and end their 5-game losing streak. The Kings started at center in a revised lineup for the purple and gold, and he became the first 37-year-old in league history to score 30-plus points in 5 straight games. Shannon, on a scale of 1 to 10, how impressive was this Lakers win?
I gave him a 3. That was the Rockets. Skip, that was the Rockets. I'm happy that they didn't finally waste one of those great performances by LeBron, because we've seen that over the last 5 games in which they've wasted 30-point outings from LeBron, great outings from LeBron. Skip, look, the Rockets, they out-rebounded the Rockets by 18. They've had 4 guys with 20-plus points or more. All of those guys shot at least 50% from the floor. LeBron had a 32-point triple-double. Russ had a 24-point triple-double. Even though you out-rebounded the team by 18, the game came down to the final minutes. It just goes to show you how small of a margin that the Lakers have in order to win a game. When you get performances like that, and you still in a nip-tuck ball game. Skip, you shot 52% from the field. You shot 41% from the three-point line. And you made 10 free throws in the fourth quarter. And still, it was a nip-tuck ball game. I mean, that's the worst team in the West. I love the lineup. I love playing LeBron at the 4. You could get away with that because
at the 5.
At the 5, because Christian Woods is not a Jokic. He's not really trying to punish you down on the block. He's not a Joel Embiid. He's more of a stretch.
And you realize Christian Wood is 6 feet 9 inches tall, which is exactly what LeBron is.
What LeBron is.
And Christian Wood is listed at 215 pounds, and LeBron is like 260.
Right. So
so you can get away.
Right. He's not trying to play. He's more on the perimeter, shooting threes, shooting shots like that. So he's not going to punish you on the inside.
No.
So you're able to get away with that. I think the biggest difference in the ball game, Skip, is that look. They had 12 turnovers. You know who, I ain't going to even say his name. You know who had 7 of those. But they did a great job in the fourth quarter of taking care of the basketball.
Yep.
Russ had 1. LeBron had 1. 2 turnovers in the fourth quarter. 10 free throws in the made free throws in the fourth quarter. That's the difference in your ball game. If you have 5 or 6 like you normally have, or you shoot 40% from the free throw line like you normally do, they lose this ball game to a bad team. And man, can you imagine what would have been? Now, they lose this game. It's one thing to lose the game to the Nets. They still had James Harden, who gave you 34 points in a triple-double.
And Patty Mills.
And Patty Mills had a career high day.
Highly respected player. Yep.
You lose this to the Rockets. No disrespect, Skip. That's a young team. I mean, they got Eric Gordon that's 33, I think, and everybody else probably 26 and younger. They're a young team. They're athletic. They're going to get up and down. They're going to push the pace. They can shoot the three.
Listen, Jalen Green, I said he's going to be the best of that batch, right? And he made 4 threes in the fourth quarter that kept them in the game.
He shot 1, and LeBron just turned to look like and say, what y'all want us to do? Don't worry about that. Ain't nothing you can do about the dude shot it, pull up from 29.
Yep.
Let that go. Porter Jr. So, Skip, for me, look, I gave him a 3. I'm happy that they were able to get off this 5-game losing streak. Guys played really well in this ball game, but it just goes to show you, Skip, if somebody would have told you Russ and LeBron's going to shoot over 50% and they're going to have triple doubles, you were like, it's going to be a blowout.
Yep.
Skip, with like 2 minutes to go in this ball game, it's a 1-point game.
It was. Okay. I'm going to go lower on the impressive scale because
I thought I would be a harsh.
I'm being objective and I'm being honest. This was, in the grand scheme of things, this should be a 1 on the impressive scale. They have the worst record in the league. They're playing back-to-back. They just lost the night before by 24 points at Charlotte.
At Charlotte, yeah.
At Charlotte. And in defensive efficiency, they rank 29th of 30 teams. Okay, well, I told you yesterday at the end of the show, they should win this by 15 points. And I said LeBron would have a triple-double, which he did. Right. I didn't see Russ having a triple-double also, but it took all of the above to overcome the Rockets.
Yes.
So on a scale of 1 to 10 on effort, I'm going to give LeBron a 10 because he played his tail off
Another
last
40
night.
minutes.
Hey, he played his tail off. So early on, I want to show you one shot that he shot where I said, it's going to be another one of those nights because it's about 10 minutes left, and he pulls up and takes a 3. He'd made his first one, so it's kind of a heat check. But this is where I thought it was all going to go wrong because here's a swing pass to LeBron. He just pulls up. That's a deep 3, and he misses everything by like 3 feet right. And I said, I'm thinking of Shannon Sharpe. This is going to be a long night for the Lakers. And instead, at about the 4-minute mark of the first quarter, LeBron powers down the lane over poor little David Nwaba, who's 6'5". Yeah. Once upon a time,
played for the Lakers.
Yeah, for a brief moment. But if we can see what LeBron did, he powers down the lane on poor little David. And he goes up and under with his left hand, and he flexes and snarls and mean mugs. And I'm thinking, LeBron, it's the Rockets. Yeah. It's the Rockets. But come to tell, for the rest of the game, he took this dead seriously because what he's thinking is, I don't care who it is, we need to win one game.
Exactly.
Just one game to get us going. Like, let's try to turn this thing around. So I have high respect for how hard he played the whole game, because from that moment on, he was a terror.
Skip, I thought he was going to go for 50.
Well,
because you see the first quarter, I'm like, okay. Then at the half, I said, he's going for another 20-point half. But come out the third quarter, he just paced himself.
Okay, so to your point, it's still, with 3:35 left, it's 115 all. And I'm saying, this is incredible. LeBron's playing like all time. No 19th-year player has ever played like that. Right?
He might be playing some of his best basketball ever, Skip.
Okay, I will give you that. He's not as explosive or athletic as he used to be, but when he wants to play bully ball on a small Houston lineup, he can bully them.
Yes.
Okay, and it went all the way down to the 2:38 mark, and they're only up a point, and LeBron goes after, I think it was Christian Wood. If we can see, it's almost like a chase down sort of block in the lane, but he goes after.
Oh, that's Green.
It was Jalen Green. I'm sorry, Jalen Green. And they called goaltending. Well, I thought they were going to call goaltending because he hit the rim and hung on the rim briefly for a second. And I thought that's goaltending. So, again, David Fisdale, the interim coach, challenges. And again, if the call stands, they're going to be down 1 with 2.5 minutes left.
Yes.
You're kidding me.
Right.
And to your benefit, that they reversed the call.
Right.
Okay. And then Melo comes right back down after that.
But LeBron had to win the jump ball.
Oh, I'm sorry, he did. Look, I think we have that. Let's see the jump ball.
He had the jump ball against Christian Wood.
Against Christian Wood, and he stole the tap, I think, because he went up and got it about halfway up and got it back to Russ. And then Melo, here comes Melo off a little screen, and Melo, that's a big clutch shot in a game, even against the lowly Rockets.
Because you go from almost being down 1 to being up 4.
And that was it. Then it went crazy after that. And LeBron made his free throws down the stretch.
6 for 6.
Okay, but no clutch ones because
they were all clutch.
They're up 4.
We just saw on Christmas where they missed like 15 free throws, and we talked about how they could have easily won the game had they made those.
Okay, I'll give you that. Okay, so now biggest takeaway for me from this game. Why was it still close that late in the game? Why with these kind of numbers? 32 from LeBron, and 25 from Malik Monk, and 24 from Russ, and 24 from Carmelo, who makes 4 of 8 threes. Why was it still a close game? It is time once again,
there you go.
ladies and gentlemen, for our daily ritual here on Undisputed, the Russell Westbrook turnover tape. Here we go. We got all 7 of them. Whoops.
What is that?
Russ, what are you doing? What were you thinking there? Russ, are you thinking? Russ, dribbled off your own foot, I believe. Whoops. Russ, 7 turnovers. Russ, easy. No, that's just a bad idea. Jalen Green intercepts that. Russ, we're about to get to the
this is
my
right here.
favorite of the night. Whoops.
Oh, my goodness.
Russ.
That's what I like. Are you kidding me?
Lost the handle and lost it out of bounds. Russ. No, you lobbed it to the up to the
backboard.
rim. Yep. Russ, you can't dribble between 2 guys. They teach you that in grade school, right? Russ, think. No, there are 2 guys in between you and your target, right? Whoops. Okay, that was his only turnover of the fourth quarter, so you got away with that. But it's 7 turnovers, and then including 1 jump shot I have to show late in the third quarter.
I know what you're talking about. The way he normally goes up the bank.
The bank was closed on this one because Russ tries a jumper here late in the third quarter. They're up 1, and he shoots it so high up, he hits the tip top of the backboard. Russ... And again, demoralized. Where his teammates are like, what are we doing? So with 7 turnovers and a miss like that, he played great otherwise.
Yes,
he played great.
yes.
He and LeBron showed some real rhythm and chemistry down the stretch.
They put LeBron in the high post, and they let him play the offense. Him and Russ had a lot of give and go, and then LeBron did a lot of Malik Monk backdoor cut.
He did.
You had Avery Bradley, and then LeBron also can, do that cross-court pass because he's 6'9". He can see Carmelo in the off corner. But Skip, 12 turnovers, and 1 guy has 7. The only thing that saved them is that none of the major turnovers happened in the fourth quarter. Because if he has those turnovers in the fourth quarter, Skip, they lose that game. They do. It's like a quarterback. A quarterback can throw for 350. He threw for 350. But did you not see Jimmy G turned up all over? That really cost them the game. That gave the Titans life. And that's what happened in the fourth quarter. Russ can have an outstanding ball game going. But if you turn the ball over, it will nullify all the good that you've done because you allowed the team to get back in the ball. There's no way, Skip. This game should have been as close as it was with these guys having these kinds of numbers.
They won in spite of those 7 turnovers and some ugly misses.
Yes.
So, again, if I look at the stat sheet, it says Russ played really well.
Yes.
Right? But until you get all the way over to that second to last column, TO, turnovers 7, it's hard to overcome 7 turnovers.
Yes.
And that's back in one of his previous stomping grounds in Houston. And you'd think, well, is he trying too hard to impress Rocket fans? I don't know what he does.
You can beat the Houston Rockets with Russ having 7 turnovers. You're not beating the Nets. You're not beating the Bucks. You're not beating the Warriors. You're not beating the Suns. You're not beating the Bulls. All the teams that are championship caliber teams.
I got one more for you. You're not beating. You're about to play back-to-back tonight at
beat the
Memphis.
Grizz.
You're not going to beat them
yeah.
with 7 turnovers.
But here's the thing, Skip. This is what I'm afraid of. What does Memphis have? Another guard. An outstanding young guard.
Is he?
Is Russ gonna go out there? I'm still the top dog in the NBA at point guard.
Yep.
Is he gonna try to show Ja up?
Well, they'll be guarding each other, I think.
No, Avery Bradley.
So?
Gonna be guarding Ja. But
will Ja guard Russ? He might.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. But that was the thing, Skip. I like the lineup. Stanley Johnson can play defense a little bit.
Stanley Johnson, remember, he's a hardship 10-day.
Yeah.
You know, he's been bouncing around the league. He's kind of been a quote-unquote bust.
But Skip, I think, wasn't he like a top? He was like a top
15th overall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
by Detroit.
The best thing that Fizdale did last night is that he took Tuck out of the starting lineup and he inserted Malik Monk.
He did.
Because Malik Monk can play better off LeBron. He can catch and shoot. He's great with LeBron in the pick and roll. Tuck needs the ball, Skip. He needs the ball in his hands. He's not going to have it with Russ and LeBron on the court. Malik Monk, they trust Malik Monk so much. Skip, a lot of times Malik Monk had the ball in his hands.
He did. He's a good basketball player. He knows how to play basketball.
I like him. I like Malik Monk. I like him a lot. Avery Bradley came back, played tough defense, made some big shots, made some clutch threes, but ain't no way. If somebody would have told you, Skip, they're going to have 4 guys that have at least 24 points. 2 of your guys, LeBron and Russ, going to have a triple-double. And they're going to out-rebound the team by 18.
48-30?
You're like, man, they're going to win by 25-30.
Yep.
Nah, with 2.5 minutes left in the ball game, it's a 1-point game.
It came down to an overrule.
A jump ball, and a smash 3 in the off corner.
Wow, okay. So I'm going to give you this break, and I'm going to pay tribute to your man, LeBron. Remember who they didn't have last night? They still don't have Austin Reeves. He's been in the protocol now for, it feels like 3 weeks, right? They don't have Trevor Ariza. He went into protocol after coming back from his injury.
Right.
And they don't have Kendrick Nunn because they haven't had him all year. And I think he's a good young player. I think he could really help if you could ever get him right. Wayne Ellington was just sick last night, not COVID sick. They just said he was ill. Bazemore, he can do a few things, but he's on the protocol. And no Rondo on protocol. That's a lot of your depth. So, again, it was just the Rockets, but at least they won.
Sometimes I think the Lakers try to play too many guys. They're like, we got these guys. We promised a minute. Nah. If you got to go with a short rotation, you got to go with 8 guys. Okay, roll with 8. It is what it is.
Okay, so is LeBron going to give you 40 more minutes back-to-back at Memphis? He better.
Just so, I don't know if you know this. You know he tied for the most 30-point games in the NBA.
Yeah.
With Kevin Durant.
Well, he's gone now, what are we up to? 9 games? I think over the last 9 games, he's leading the league in scoring over the last 9 games by a ton.
But I ain't saying nothing, but he washed. Can you imagine?
Nobody said he was washed.
Yeah, that's what the scout said, that general manager. He can't do it. He can only do it in spurts. I mean, how many other guys would want to spurt like 32 points? But averaging almost 28 points, 7 and 7. There'll be a lot of guys in the NBA want to spurt like that.
Okay. But he spurted against the Rockets, and you gave this a 3 on the impressive scale.
But it's not like he hadn't done it against other teams now.
Okay.
Don't do that, Skip.
Well, the Nets were pretty decimated.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Well,
he still go James.
And
I want to see the GOAT tonight.
It's still very impressive what LeBron is doing in his 19th season. But let's switch gears because the 11-4 Cowboys are currently sitting at number 2 in the NFC playoff picture, behind the 12-3 Packers. However, if Green Bay stumbles and Dallas, Tampa, and LA all win out, all 4 teams will be tied at 13-4, and Skip's Cowboys would get the tiebreaker for the top seed in the conference, which comes with home field advantage and a playoff bye. So, Shannon, if Dallas gets the number 1 seed, what percentage chance do you give them to make the Super Bowl?
I give them a 5 to 10% chance.
5 to 10?
Yeah.
Which is it, 5 or 10?
5.
5%.
Just because you asked me. Just because you asked. Skip, first of all, you know AT&T Stadium doesn't have a home field advantage like an Arrowhead or like a Lambeau Field. There's no mystique there.
Yep.
I mean, it's too beautiful of a building, Skip. You got the 70,000-inch Jumbotron. You got the nice facilities. I mean, you got 3,500 flat panels around the stadium. So it doesn't have a feel of a great home field advantage like some of these older stadiums. Now, most of the stadiums have been refurbished and updated, and everybody have new stadiums and all. So, but only Lambeau is still Lambeau. Arrowhead is still Arrowhead. So for me, Skip, it doesn't have that home field advantage you would expect or what you fight for. But look, it'd be a great thing if they got it. I still don't believe they could go because that means you would get Tampa in the divisional round.
You would.
And you're probably going to get Green Bay or Rams in the championship game, which I think can cause you problems. So for me, Skip, I don't think it... Nobody's like, man, we got to go to Dallas, man. That's a tough place to play. Y'all lose game. Aaron Rodgers just beat y'all in Dallas. Did he do that? They're like, hold on. Did the Broncos beat them? They're not even in the playoffs.
Like lately, he didn't.
He did that, though.
Okay.
He feels very comfortable. He's gone there, beat you in the playoffs, and he came back a few years later and beat you again.
The next year.
Yeah. And the Rams did a number on you. They came from behind by like 20 points and beat you. So they're not fear. And you know Tom Terrific ain't afraid of you. He ain't afraid of no stinking Cowboys. So, y'all, first of all, don't get your hopes up. You're not getting home field advantage, okay? I just want to go ahead and suppress that idea right now. Green Bay not going to lose. Okay?
Okay, I hear everything you just said, and I cannot argue with you about the home field advantage of Jerry World because it doesn't have huge home field.
It doesn't.
It's a destination for the nation. It's where everybody wants to go to play a big college football game, a national semifinal.
You have some great concerts in there, though. I heard you have some great concerts. George Strait.
Everybody
Jason Aldean.
Who doesn't want to play that place?
Faith and Faith Hill and what's her husband name? Tim McGraw. Yeah, I heard it'd be a nice concert. Monster truck pulls.
Yeah. Final Fours, you name it. Everybody wants to go play. That's a palace. To go play that palace. But it's a little hard on the Cowboys because the visiting team feels like it's a national stage, not the Cowboy stage,
Correct.
right? Okay, so I give you all that, and I've told you all year long, I trust my team slightly more on the road than at home.
Okay.
But I do know what they did to Atlanta at home, and I just saw what they did to Washington at home.
Really, Skip?
Devastating. And if I hark back to earlier in the year, I saw what they did to the Eagles, and I have respect for the Eagles. They destroyed them at home, and Carolina was 3-0, riding high, had one of the top defenses. They destroyed Carolina.
You just gave the Lakers a one for beating the Rocket, and you talk about the Cowboys beating the Falcons and the Eagles.
Okay. Well, and Washington. Washington had won 4 in a row. We went there and just destroyed them, and they couldn't get.
Y'all didn't destroy them there, Skip. It came down to a late because your guy let them back in the ball game.
We knocked Tyler Heineke out of the game, and I think that was the end of him for the season, basically. Okay, so speaking of Tyler, my man Tyler Korn here on our show last night, I said, you got to find out how would this break down if, in fact, Green Bay stumbled this Sunday it's Sunday night, right? Sunday night against Minnesota at Lambeau.
Yeah.
And you have reminded me again and again, Minnesota plays them tough.
Yeah. Cousins plays really well against Aaron Rodgers.
Really well against them, so he's going to go in there pretty confident.
Yeah.
And again, it's a division rivalry, so you'd give them a shot.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? It's 6.5, I think it is. They're favored by 6.5 at home. So here's the point. So I had my man Tyler check with our research group. What if? Because it's a jumble of what ifs.
Right.
If all of a sudden they fall back in the pack and there's a 4-way tie for the top spot in the NFC. And it comes back that it's too hard to even break it all down, but all of a sudden, Dallas prevails on conference record.
Yeah, you haven't lost one game in the conference.
Yeah, okay. So Dallas would prevail. And then Green Bay would be 2. And then Rams would be 3. And Tampa would be 4. Okay, so then it would break down to, I've had this gut feeling all year long that somehow that opening Thursday night would come back all the way around to the playoffs, and Dallas at Tampa would become something later, maybe I thought maybe the NFC Championship game, but no, this would now make it the divisional round at Jerry World.
And Tampa would come to you.
Okay, Tampa would come to us. So could we get revenge over Tampa? Again, there's one man in sports I don't bet against. But I don't know what they're going to be because they're so injured that they keep saying, well, we could get all these players back for the playoffs.
Right.
Well, will you get them back?
Yeah.
Who knows?
You're right.
Will you get Shaq Barrett back for the playoffs?
I kind of want to see that matchup because I want to see you squirm when you got to make a pick.
Well, I would have to squirm on that one. I was
Yeah.
squirming on opening night. And I told you, at least I earned a moral victory because we were in position to win the game thanks to Dakota Rain Prescott's late clutch drive.
But see, the difference is you had 16 more games to go. In this situation, somebody's Super Bowl season run is over.
Okay, I got it. And I want to remind everybody just how clutch the GOAT of GOATs was, how Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr., what he did to my Dallas Cowboys. Do you remember the 2nd and 10 play late in the game with 24 seconds left? Here's Brady to the guy who's no longer there. back shoulder on, guess who? That was Jordan Lewis. Little shove, but I'm not going to call that. And that was it. That's the clutch throw of the game because that set up a 36-yard field goal at the buzzer, and they win 31-29.
Right.
Okay, so now back to my team. My team is starting to peak at just the right time. My team has 2 playoff teams left on the schedule, right? Arizona, which is starting to stumble.
Fade.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
And Philly, which is getting hotter and hotter. That's at Philly to end. Well, I like the 2 matchups because you get to, again, litmus test. You know, you get to measuring stick. You get to see what it feels like. Let's go against a team. Again, D-Hop's not there anymore. Maybe they have faded. Maybe it's past tense. Maybe they're going to stumble all the way back, who knows, out of the playoffs. But the point is, that's a good test, and Philly's a greater test. So I like the build-up toward the playoffs, which we have already clinched, obviously, with 1 playoff home game.
Right.
Okay, so if, in fact, we got 2 games at home, I think we have become so hot, we are so talented on both sides of the ball that they're starting to realize just how gifted they are. And you have been on your first Super Bowl team where you have to figure out, are we this good? I think we are, right? And you get to the playoffs and you say, wait a second, we're as good as all those teams, right? We might even be better than those teams. And you didn't know maybe before that year started. Right. Were you that good? Let's see, the first year was 97.
Well, we had lost the divisional the year before to Jacksonville. We were 13-3. Okay. We come back, Skip, but we had lost. We didn't go into the playoffs hot. We lost to San Francisco. I think we lost to Kansas City. I think we lost to Pittsburgh. We beat the Chargers the last game of the season. So it wasn't like we had 1 home game. We played Jacksonville, and then we had to go on the road at Kansas City, at Pittsburgh, who had just beaten us. Both of those teams had beaten us in the previous month.
Okay. And all of a sudden, you say, wait a second, because of that running back, right?
Yep.
He is on fire. Maybe we're that good.
Yeah, we ran him out the building.
You ran him off the field.
Yeah, it was a low-scoring game in Kansas City. I think we won 14-10. TD went over 100 yards, and, we knew Coach Schottenheimer rested so that he was going to play very conservative. Okay, so I'm here to tell you, which I hinted at this last week, I believe my defense right here, right now, is even better than the 92 and 93 defenses that launched that 90s dynasty. Your offense better? No, but that was, we're talking about Aikman, Emmett, and Michael Irvin. Right, no. And that offensive line. It was the greatest I've ever seen. It was more methodical. Maybe it wasn't explosive as this one can be. Right. It just chewed you up and spat you out. Right. That's what it did. Troy was just like automatic. Yeah. Just bing, bing. Troy might not throw the ball about 15 times a game because they're going to run it 35, 40 times. Yeah, but when he did, he was just deadly accurate. And he loved him some 88. Yeah. And it was just hard to stop it. That bang eight, what we call a skinny post, Skip, that was his route. He going to run that, he going to run the deep comeback. He might push off. Oh, yeah, ain't nobody. He going to push off. And then he's telling you about it. Well, the slam, Skip, they cut the head slap out because he was notorious for head slap. And so the NFL like, Mike, you can't do that. Okay. So I'm loving my defense. My offense sprang back to life because Dak is back in the saddle. And to me, not sure who we'd get in the first round, but that would be Tampa this way because we get the bye. Yeah, right, you get the bye. Yeah. So you would expect Tampa to win. You would expect Tampa. I'm not sure who they would get at home, but they would have to play a wild card weekend home game. But you would get Tampa in the divisional. We would get Tampa. Okay, tell me right here, right now, what would the odds makers make that game? And I don't know who would be healthy for Tampa. Yeah, you'd probably be favored by 3. I wrote it down before the show. We would be favored by 3 at home. Mm-hmm. That would show you that the odds makers would kind of call it a coin flip because 3 points normally goes to the home team anyway. All right. So get past that. We definitely could get revenge on Aaron Rodgers. No, he's going to get revenge on y'all. Well, y'all already got revenge. What revenge? For what y'all did to him last year. Twice. What we did to Aaron Rodgers? Yes. Tampa. Oh, I'm talking about Dallas. You talking about the Cowboys? Yeah. Oh, no, the Cowboys didn't get no revenge on nothing. Cowboys will be done. Tampa going to handle y'all. Well, he's had his way and he's had his luck. His luck will run out. Woo! Yeah, if Aaron Rodgers, so he's lucky now. Yeah, if we somehow caught the GOATs team just too beat up to play at that high level, and we won that game,
Interesting.
Skip,
I feel a lot better about my team beating Aaron Rodgers than I do about beating Tom Brady. A lot better.
You remember in 2016? Do you remember what happened? You guys almost had a. Do we get? Look at this. This was the dash.
Yep. Okay, why would Rod Marinelli call a prevent defense? It's prevent.
He went to Jerry.
I got 3 DBs back on the 20-yard line. What is that about? Our man Orlando Scandrick, he's standing back on the 20-yard line. He's 15 yards deeper than that throw. I could have caught that. I could have thrown that because it's just wide open. He runs a complete crossing route. He comes completely from the other side of the formation.
Yes, you got to dash the formation, back up, and then jet to the sideline.
Okay, it was just pitch and catch. But it still required a 56-yard field goal. Yeah. And I've never seen anything like that 56-yard field goal because he dunk hooked it.
First of all, you wouldn't even be in this position without a 56-yard field goal. Remember the 56-yard field goal you got out here at SoFi against the Chargers? A 56-yard field goal after your head coach goofed on the time.
One lucky kick deserves another, right? Okay.
Man, that was 5 years ago.
Okay, so Aaron has come in there and just humiliated us. He came twice more, remember?
Yep.
He came twice more and just
did a number on you.
Oh,
Devontae, that was Devontae coming out party against you guys.
That was 2017, right? He threw one on little Jordan Lewis.
He broke it up, and he came right back.
I'll just do it again. Yep. Let's just do the same play, and it's a touchdown, right? He can't stop me. Jordan Lewis is like 5'10".
Then he couldn't.
Okay, he couldn't. Okay, we will. I'm here to predict right here, right now, we will get revenge on Aaron Rodgers if it comes to that. I will book it. I will guarantee it. We will beat Aaron Rodgers.
He probably hang about 34 on your defense.
Really? 34? Micah, are you listening to that? I hope so.
But back there, already be back by then.
Well, if it's the NFC Championship game for all the marbles, Aaron Rodgers is 1-4 in NFC
Dak is 0-0. He ain't never made it that far.
So he has no negative history to deal with.
He ain't got no history.
Aaron's got 1-4 history. 1-4, and the one was lucky because Jay Cutler wound up on the bicycle in the second half, and he got to beat Caleb Haney.
You do realize that, history, you need history, credit cards. If you ain't got no credit card, you're in a negative rating. You need credit cards. You need to have some history that you borrowed something and paid it back. You got no history in the championship game, so how could I trust you that you're going to come through for me when you ain't never done it before?
We haven't been in a championship game since the 95
Exactly.
season.
So why would I trust you and them stinking Cowboys in that moment?
Because it's a new day and a new team with a new swagger. I've been telling you that since Hard Knocks before the season started.
Aaron Rodgers going to do it this time. He got 800 credit. He done been there and been through the hardships. Yeah. They seen him at his lowest, build that credit right back up. He got 850 credit now. Going to do you guys.
Okay, so if the injury gods dictate that we can get past the GOAT, and it may be that way, we got Aaron Rodgers.
Nah, you know what? I think I might have to turn into a Brady fan.
Yep.
Cowboys can't come.
No mercy.
Saturday, it's a stacked night of 5 heavyweight fights headlined by Luis Ortiz taking on Charles Martin live on pay-per-view at a special price of only $39.99. Buy now on the Fox Sports app or scan the QR code on your screen. According to an NBA insider, the Lakers are very interested in trading for Jerami Grant from the Pistons before the deadline. LA could offer a package of Talen Horton-Tucker, Kendrick Nunn, and a future first-rounder that would entice Detroit to go full steam on the rebuild while allowing LeBron's team to get some juice for a playoff push. So, Shannon, how much better would Jerami Grant make the Lakers?
Skip, he'd make them better, but he wouldn't solve their problems. I just think the Lakers need to shake things up before the trade deadline because what has happened is what they have isn't working seemingly. Skip, I like Tuck. I like Taylor Horton-Tucker. But I just think the thing is he'll be better elsewhere with the ball in his hand. And he might turn out to be a great player. And I think Laker Nation, they're looking at Brandon Ingram and they're looking at Julius Randle. They're looking at Jordan Clarkson. They're looking at a lot of these guys that have gone elsewhere and see how well they're playing. But ask yourself, could B.I. be B.I. with AD and LeBron? Could Julius Randle be Jew Randle with LeBron and AD? I don't think he could. So he needs the ball. Tucker needs the ball in his hand because he plays better when he has the ball. He has going to have the ball minimum amount of time with LeBron and Russ. So he needs to go. I believe it will shake things up, but you have to understand now, here's something about Jerami Grant. He left Detroit because he didn't want to be third fiddle to Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. He left for the same money to go to Detroit and be top dog.
Is
he going to be okay being fourth dog when he didn't want to be third dog?
Yep.
Those are things I think the Lakers need to ask themselves. I get it. You get a young guy, 27, in the rotation. He can score points. He's good from the three-point line. He's an okay defender, not great, but he's okay. But those are some questions that you need to ask yourself. Is he going to be okay? Bron, AD, Russ, Jerami Grant, when he didn't want it to be Yoke, Murray, Jerami Grant. Those are some questions, some serious down that you're going to have to ask. And you're going to need to talk to him. Are you going to be okay with your role? You're going to be on a team that's trying to make the playoffs as opposed to being in Detroit that's going through a rebuild. You're not going to go anywhere. Are you going to be okay with this? He got his money. He has one more year. Got about $20+ million. Got one more year left. It'll be 28, I think, in March. So that's the question, Skip. Do I think it would help them? Yes. But Jerami Grant doesn't make them all of a sudden, they pole vault Golden State. They pole vault Utah. They pole vault the Suns. That's not happening with Jerami Grant. I'm sorry.
I thought you loved Jerami Grant.
I do. Skip, Jerami Grant is not going to put the Lakers at the front of the Western Conference. I'm sorry.
But as far as plausible, credible deals of somebody who might be available who's pretty good, that's about at the top of the list.
What about if we can get somebody else? What if we can package somebody else?
And
get somebody else.
Well, who's the somebody else?
You know who
now
the somebody
you're doing pie in the sky.
You know who somebody, no, I'm saying just package. What if we trade, Indiana's trying to move some pieces. What if we gave them Russ for Brogdon?
You're not going to do that. Why would they even in their craziest, wildest nightmares do that?
Well, if they try to get off Sabonis, they try to get off Miles Turner. They might well get off Brogdon and start from scratch, blow it all up and start all over again.
Yeah. Here, let's blow it up with Russ, right? Okay.
Well, he going to blow it up once he get there, so
all right.
You might beat him to the punch.
I do believe Jerami Grant would make you better. Maybe appreciably better, because I believe in him as a basketball player. He's what GMs used to tell me back in the day. They would describe a player as a near star. I believe he's a near star. He's not going to make the all-star team.
Right.
But
he played good his first year in Detroit. He played really well.
He's put up good offensive numbers.
Yes.
He's not shooting threes the way he used to in Denver.
Right.
But the point is, I like the way he competes because I like his bloodlines. I respect his father, Harvey, was a really good player.
Yeah.
And his uncle Horace was a really good player. And he's a really good player who, you said defensively you're not sold. Listen, in big games for the Nuggets, when it was time, he would D up on people and he will compete for 40 minutes.
Well, you see what happened when we get that three off on him.
Yeah.
Hey, guy, he was worried about Bron.
He was worried about Bron, and so was Rondo saying, Bron,
don't do that. That was a decoy. We used the decoy.
I locked eyes with LeBron, and he did not move.
Have you ever been hunting? They have decoys. You go duck hunting, they set decoys on the pond so the ducks will come. You go whitetail hunting, deer, they hit. Decoy.
But that's when you put the decoys out because you intend them to be decoys. The play in the huddle, we're talking about the playoff game against the Nuggets.
Decoy ever right there.
Yeah, the play was called for LeBron in the huddle. It wasn't a decoy play. And Rondo said, oh, my God.
Ad lib.
He's frozen.
You got to be
chosen one is frozen.
You got to be able to change on the fly. You got to be able to change on the fly, Skip.
I guess I got to throw it out here to the wing to Anthony Davis, who now can't even hit the broadside of the biggest barn in America.
He's
right? Yeah. And he ripped that one from like 28 feet to win the game against the Nuggets. What was it, game two? Was it 2 or 1?
2. Game two.
It was a big game.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Bubble-licious.
No. Don't do that, Skip.
Jerami Grant can come here. He could get you 20 a game. I believe that.
How?
Well, he just could because he's that good.
So he gonna get 20, AD gonna get 20, Russ gonna give you 18, and Jerami Grant gonna get 20.
What you did the Rockets last night, you had 4 guys over 20.
So
you had 1 guy over 30.
Are we gonna play the Rockets every night?
No.
Exactly.
Okay, so here's my bottom line to this. If you could do it, what has happened to Taylor Horton Tucker? You still love him, but he has gone from untradeable to basically unwanted because I think Laker Nation's just down and out on him.
Just think about it. You had an opportunity to get Kyle Lowry last year. All you had to do was include Tuck.
Well, now you do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, you would.
Right? Okay, so if it's just Kendrick Nunn, I love Kendrick Nunn. We just haven't seen him out of sight, out of mind. But if that's all it would take, and a draft choice that's in 2025, 27, I'm just in 25.
I mean, we ain't got no draft picks. That's how far we got to go to get some draft picks.
Well, that's like a steal of a deal.
Yeah.
I would do that just to improve the firepower.
But still, Skip, even though I believe he will make them better, he doesn't solve all their issues.
Okay,
what about the defense? What about the turnovers? What about the guarding of the three? What about shooting of the three?
Okay, you know how I feel about Russell Westbrook. That as long as he's a Laker, you can't overcome it.
Okay.
So in the end, I hark back to the infamous old line about it's like rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic.
Right.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so you rearrange the deck chairs and you say, well, we got Jerami Grant. He's pretty good.
Right.
He is pretty good.
But you still have...
And we still got to deal with this guy. Okay, so the only magic move to me is addition by subtraction. You have to figure a way. Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss and maybe LeBron has to figure a way behind the scenes. LeBron's, he's got the highest IQ. You got to figure a way to get out from under Russ.
It's not like baseball where you can trade a player and the team that's trading the player can play a part of his salary, play half of his salary to get him up out of there. I don't think you can do that in basketball.
44 million, then 47 the next year. It's a lot to swallow, but there's some way out from under. You'd have to give him away because you can't. You're not going to get anything back for him, I don't think. Somebody's just going to have to take him off your hands.
Well, maybe they've been traded before.
I mean, they would give you a bunch of junk back just to, try to make the salary.
Could it happen again? Could they trade John Wall for Russ again? They've been traded for each other before.
I would do that. I would do it. I would take John Wall over Russ because Russ is a disaster waiting to happen. I know you feel a little better about last night because they were actually in the fourth quarter, they were vibing off each other.
Yeah.
It looked pretty good. Yeah. But what happened last night? For the first time all year, to me, LeBron said, I got this.
Yes.
Who dribbled the ball up the floor for the most part? Who initiated the offense every time? LeBron did. He played point, whatever you want to call him. Was he point center last night? He was the point. That's all I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what did he have in the fourth quarter? He had 14 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and a block shot.
Big time.
So you gonna tell me that Russ had 4 points, 1 rebound, and 5 assists.
5 assists, pretty good.
Yeah.
And only one turnover. So he had 6 turnovers through 3 quarters.
That's the thing, Skip. That's the thing that kills a great game from him is the turnovers.
Yep.
Luckily, he didn't turn the ball over in the fourth quarter because they'd have lost that game. If he had those turnovers, if he was turning it over in the fourth quarter like he was the first 3 quarters, they're losing that game.
Yep. And he also limited himself to only 2 threes last night. And you saw what happened at the end of the third quarter? That rookie Şengün, he just stood there and just said, I dare you. He stood 10 feet away and said, just shoot it. Go ahead. Shoot it at the buzzer. And he made it.
He made it.
Okay, way to go. But he only took 2 and he made 2. That will work.
Yeah, we're gonna keep it going tonight. I mean, like I said, look, I like Jerami Grant. I think it'll be addition. But Skip, we ain't moving to the front of the line now. You don't get moved to the front of the line with Jerami Grant. You get moved to the front of the line with Dame Lillard.
Yep.
Yeah, you give a Dame.
Well, they take Russ for Dame. Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, I mean, we might be willing to offer a little something else. We might can sweeten the deal for you. What if we give you Russ, Dwight Howard, and Kendrick Nunn in the first round draft pick?
Oh, they'd do that in a second. Wrong.
I don't think Dame wants to go anywhere right now.
LeBron wanted Russ, and he is stuck with Russ. Way to go. So it's up to LeBron just to figure this out.
How?
No mercy.
The NFL announced John Madden's passing yesterday, who died at the age of 85. His influence on the sport of football is impossible to overstate. Madden was a legendary figure known to one generation as a Hall of Fame coach, another generation as a sport's greatest announcer, and yet another generation for the video game that bears his name. Skip, now that you've had a night to sleep on this, what are your thoughts on John Madden's passing?
Shannon Sharpe. I've been doing this for a long time, and I thought a lot last night about the week I spent in and around the Oakland Raiders facility, back in 1977. Late in that football season, they were 12-2, coming off a big Super Bowl victory out here in Southern California at the Rose Bowl over Fran Tarkenton and the Vikings, 32-14. And they were on a roll again. And it was the greatest, wildest collection of renegade players in the history of your sport. I thought it was the most physical football team I was ever around. John Madden had invented to me what became known as Raider mystique. And in all my career, this has never happened to me before or since. But as soon as I sat down with Coach Madden, I tried to start asking typical reporter questions. I was still pretty much a Cub reporter at that point for the LA Times. And he kept changing the subject to ask me about me. It just doesn't happen. But he wanted to know what made me tick before I got to know what made him tick, because he was the ultimate people person. Right. And anybody who's ever crossed his path, he would ask you, how's your big brother, right?
Yep.
How's Sterling?
Every time.
And he wanted to know, where'd you go to school? Vanderbilt. Oh, we got a Vanderbilt guy on our team, Pat Toomey, who became, I didn't know Pat at that point, but he was ahead of me at Vanderbilt, Pro Bowl pass rusher. You got to get to know Pat. Okay, and I did. He became one of my closest friends. You married? What's going on? Where'd you come from? Oh, you from Oklahoma? Oh, interesting. So that's Coach Madden, and that's how he coached these teams. He got to know the players as players. And again, I had the privilege of being around Don Shula and Tom Landry and Bill Walsh and many of the greatest iconic coaches in your sport. Never have I heard a collection of players, many of them known as cast-offs and misfits, who swore by a coach, not at a coach, the way this team and all these ex-players that I crossed paths with after they left John Madden, how much they loved him to the point of he became as beloved a coach as any that I've ever encountered. And speaking of my friend Pat Toomey, who's written a couple of great books about professional football. I don't know if you don't know Pat. Okay.
I didn't.
Pat had all kinds of issues with Coach Landry in Dallas, and I quoted Pat liberally in my book about Landry in 1989. And yeah, Coach Landry could be distant, he could be a little heartless, he could be a little ruthless, and to him, players were cogs in his system. And he was an absolute genius of a coach. Defensively and offensively.
Because that's why he's the defensive coordinator for the Giants on the championship.
And he played cornerback in your sport many years ago when you could play cornerback that way, right? But he became an offensive genius, and he invented things like the flex defense and all the motion offense. It all came from Coach Landry. But he was arm's length from his players. He got close to nobody.
He didn't want to get attached because he knew he was going to have to make tough decisions. And it makes your decision you make that decision a lot harder, Skip, if you like that person.
John Madden used to have lunch with Pat Toomey and invited Pat ultimately to his Hall of Fame induction ceremony. So he got very close to these players, and it's why it burned him out. He went from age 32, he's the youngest coach in pro football, and at 42, he said, I can't take it anymore. I coach with my heart. I coach it to...
He had too much passion. Skip, you saw how he was on the side, how animated he was.
He had all sorts. He was a huge human being, too. He was literally, you say larger than life. John Madden was 6'4", I don't know, it's in that 250-60 range. He was once...
Especially at that time, that was a gigantic man at the time.
And he got drafted by Philadelphia late rounds when they had many, he was like 21st round. And he had one bad knee, and he blew out his other knee in training camp, so he never got a shot to play professional football, which was fortuitous because he just segued right into coaching where he belonged. But I believe in the end, it irks me that his coaching record doesn't get nearly enough credit because it got overshadowed by the greatest video game ever and the greatest analyst ever, right? Because I look at this record, 103, 32, and 7. What? 103, 32, and 7? That's the greatest winning percentage in the history of your sport with for any coach with over 100 victories. Well, he should be enshrined in everybody's mind and psyche as like a top 5 all-time coach. But nobody thinks of him that way because a lot of our younger viewers have no idea he even coached. Well, please appreciate that today at this moment.
You said something very interesting earlier, that you're glad he got an opportunity to receive his flowers. He got an opportunity to see the documentary And a lot of it
that aired on Christmas Day on
aired
Fox.
on Christmas, Skip. And
it became like a eulogy while he was alive.
Right. And he got a lot of time. They were showing it to him as it's going along. These guys talking about him, and a lot of times, Skip, we give flowers, and the person can no longer smell those flowers. Give him his praise. He was able to hear the praise. He could hear it. So now on Christmas Day, as he's sitting there, and Lawrence Taylor is on there with his arms folding and saying, this man told me, looked into my eyes and peered into my soul and told me I was great and what I could become. I owe my career to him. And Madden is taking all this in. Lawrence Taylor said that about me. And Aikman and all these other guys, the former broadcast partners that he had, they said they thought this about me. I never knew the impact I was having on them. And so for me, Skip, you're right.
By the way, since you brought it up, let's see it once more because it brought me to tears on Christmas Day at the end of this documentary.
And I'm saving this spot here for the greatest of them all, number 56, Lawrence Taylor.
John Madden looked into my heart and he realized what type of player I am and what type of person I am. And maybe everybody else didn't. John Madden made me a better player. Simple as that. Case closed. That's it.
Whoa. That was something. When I hear that stuff, it makes me realize that what I didn't realize probably.
Skip, no matter what you do in life, you want validation. If you have a regular job, you want your boss to tell you you're doing a good job. That was a great job. I appreciate that. You play sports, you want validation. Maybe the Hall of Fame, Pro Bowl, All Pro. Lawrence Taylor got the validation, even though Coach Madden didn't know he was validating him. By telling him what he could become, by telling him he was a great player, he validated what LT thought of himself. But this guy validated it. And that's what he offered. He called your games. You talked to him in that production meeting. And to hear him talk about you during the course of that game, go home, listen to it. You don't know what's being said. You're just playing football. You're just playing the best you possibly can. And to go back and hear, this was a great play by Shannon Sharpe. This was a great play by Troy. This was a great play by Emmett. This was a great play. That's the validation. We all want validation, be it in a marriage, be it in a relationship. It doesn't matter. You want validation. Some of it, we can get the ultimate validation. And that's what John Madden provided. You're right, Skip, because the other careers lasted so much longer than his NFL career. That gets overshadowed by his broadcasting career because he called 11 Super Bowls. And when he came, it was the biggest of the games. There was no bigger game than when Mr. Summerall and Coach Madden showed up on a Sunday. Or when he showed up on that Monday night. First of all, you already had Monday night. And then to have him there on Monday night, you already had the world's undivided attention. So for me, Skip, look, you're right. That video game, Michael Vick in Madden was what Bo Jackson was in Tecmo Bowl. The Falcons were terrible, but you got the Falcons just because of Michael Vick and on that game. That's what people know, and they still play Madden. I mean, it drove me crazy. Skip, we get off the plane and everybody got their luggage and they got a little console where they can go. They got another little suitcase where they got their Madden console and they played Madden.
Yep.
That's what it is. So you're right. His football acumen and his coaching, it doesn't get its due because he was a broadcaster and this Madden game lasted so much longer than his coaching career. But it's hard to argue the numbers. Look at all the Hall of Famers that he had. Stabler and Ted Hendricks and the two Art Shell and
he coached 12 Hall of Famers in 10 years. That's hard to do.
Yes. Whew. Yeah, like you said, and Skip, he had the ultimate. On the Al was like, hey, just win, baby. Al didn't care, so he had to keep him. He had Al just wants you to show up. Well, he said, okay, as long as you show up on time, I'm good. I don't care what you do the night before. I don't care what you do the week. Just show up on time and just win.
And play your tail off.
Play. And they did. They would knock your tail off.
They would. Al Davis was the toughest owner to coach for in the history of owners.
Absolutely.
And John Madden coached with his heart and soul more than his head.
Right.
Because he wasn't into X's and O's per se, which is why it translated to the booth, because it's all heart and soul, right?
Yes.
He loved his game and he loved those players on the field. But obviously he developed ulcers. He had all kinds of issues, heart problems going on because he coached so hard that at 42, he was done. Fortuitously, he segues right into broadcast.
Right.
And he's as far from TV made as you could ever get because, as he was once described, he's an unmade bed.
Right.
He didn't care what his hair looked like, and he would laugh when they'd say, you got to get makeup, right?
Yeah.
He'd say it's like putting frosting on you know what.
Right. Skip, the thing is that sometimes when I criticize a player or I give a player credit, it means more because I played the game. And they value my opinion.
Yep.
Well, when Coach Madden, the man coached. He coached the game. So for him, he knows what he's talking about. This ain't just no foo-foo. He knows a good player when he sees him. He knows a great player when he sees him.
So he created what was called the All Madden team. And when you made All Madden, you made it, man.
Ask anybody that's made that team. I mean, anybody, you're on Twitter. I mean, a lot of guys that's made it. Ask them what they thought when they made it. It's an extreme honor for that man to validate you.
And you made it.
I made it five times. Yes.
Your brother made it.
Five times.
5 times.
5 times.
Woo.
Yeah. So you had to be tough, you had to be smart, and you had to obviously you had to do, if you caught the ball for a living, you need to catch the ball and get the ball in the end zone.
Yep.
If you're a defensive player, obviously, you see what he did. He brought LT out. I'm gonna save this part right here for that guy.
He did.
That's what he thought. Man, it's an unbelievable honor that I feel very fortunate. Sometimes I'm 53, but I got an opportunity to witness a lot of great things. I got an opportunity to witness my first game that I can vividly remember was the Super Bowl, Oakland Raiders against the Minnesota Vikings.
Right.
And old man Willie coming, the camera panning in his eyes as he's running the interception back for a touchdown. And so I'm old enough to remember Coach Madden coaching. I'm old enough to remember when he first started broadcasting and calling the games and being a player and getting an opportunity to, Skip, when you meet somebody, like when you meet a Magic Johnson or you meet someone, he was like, that's Coach Madden.
Yep.
I'm out here sitting, he's jotting down notes and I'm talking to him. As growing up in high school and in college, man, I want to play in the NFL. Man, that'd be cool to have Coach Madden call one of my games, man. He crossed the table from me. That man said across the table, okay, I Coach Madden. That don't Coach Madden.
So the silver lining to all this is, with this documentary from Fox on Christmas Day, Coach Madden got his flowers. He got to experience it all. And we're going to miss him, but I feel a little better about his passing, that he got to see what he meant.
He got to smell the flowers while he was living, and he got to hear the praise. So, rest easy, Coach.
No mercy.
LeBron and Westbrook both finished with a triple-double last night to beat the Rockets 132-123 and end their 5-game losing streak. The Kings started at center in a revised lineup for the purple and gold, and he became the first 37-year-old in league history to score 30-plus points in 5 straight games. First things first, co-host Chris Broussard joins us now. Chris, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important of a win was this for the Lakers?
I'm going to give it a 3. All right, if I break my leg and I'm on the ground struggling to get up and somebody comes and helps me get up, that was good that they helped me. But there's still much more work to be done. I have to go to the hospital. I have to get surgery. I have to have the cast on my leg and all that stuff. So the Lakers needed to end that 5-game skid. But let's not blow it out of proportion. There's more important work to be done. It was the Houston Rockets. And I know a month or so ago, they won 7 straight games, beat some good teams. But since then, they've gone 2-9. All right, they're one of the worst teams in the league, both defensively and offensively. And that was much closer than the 9-point game. I mean, that you can look at the score and think, oh, the Lakers won pretty comfortably. No, it took another masterpiece from LeBron, Malik Monk playing beyond his means, Carmelo Anthony playing beyond his means at age 37, and you got a triple-double from Westbrook. But the same problems were there. Westbrook also has 7 turnovers. Defensively, they had trouble staying with the younger, more athletic Rockets. So they got to the paint at will and shot 53%. Because they got to the paint at will and blew by the Lakers, they got open threes and shot 46% from 3. So, look, I'll be a lot more impressed if the Lakers go into Memphis tonight, and Memphis, 4 seed in the West, they're playing great. If they go into Memphis tonight and win, then I'll think, okay, maybe they're starting to get something going. But last night was just important because you needed to end the losing streak.
And that's why I gave them a 7, Skip. They needed this one because the Rockets are at the bottom of the barrel. You can't lose to the Rockets. You can't lose to the Rockets, Chris. And LeBron has been playing so masterfully as you laid out. Were they going to blow another masterpiece from LeBron? And as you're so right. The issues that the Lakers had going into the game, they still exist. Nothing has changed. But they just needed this win. That win didn't fix any of the problems. They still turned the ball. Somebody still turns the ball over. I ain't gonna call his name, but you know who we're talking about. He still turns the ball over. They still can't guard the 3-point line. They still can't stay in front of anybody. The good thing about last night, Chris, they made all their free throws in the 4th quarter. Had they not done that and turned the ball over like they normally do, but that was the Rockets. Think about that. They needed to beat the Rockets. The Rockets are the bottom feeders in the Western Conference. And in order for the Lakers to stop the skid, we up here talking about, man, and it took a Herculean effort from LeBron. The man got to give you a virtuoso against the Houston Rockets, Skip, in order for you to win. And like Chris said, they won by 9. But really, the game was closer to 9 points. With 2 minutes, a little over 2 minutes, it was a 1-point ball game.
It was.
And it took a challenge.
You got a fortuitous call on a goaltend.
It took a challenge, a win challenge, a steal tip by LeBron, and a 3-pointer in the corner from Melo to go up by 4 and basically end the game. You know, they never relinquished that. They never got closer than that again. In order, you get 2 triple-doubles. 4 guys have at least 24 points. Come on. That's normally a recipe. You blew the team out.
I would say.
LeBron had to play 40 minutes against the Rockets.
He did.
Malik Monk played 40 minutes. Melo played, 28 minutes. It took all of that to beat the Rockets. That's why I had to give them a 7, because if you lose to the Rockets, you at the bottom of the barrel. Rob Pelinka might blow this thing up today. If you had lost to the Rockets, he might have blown it up today.
I agree.
So at least, Chris, you got another couple of days before they blow this thing up. But he'd have blown it up just this morning if they had lost to the Rockets.
So, Chris, we began the show on our Laker topic today with the question, how impressive were the Lakers last night? And I gave it a 1. Right. You gave it a 3.
I gave it a 3.
Now we're asking, how important was this win last night? I swear, I'm going to a 10. And I'm not exaggerating, because I feel like it was teetering on blow it up.
Yes.
And to hear LeBron tell it after the game, he talked about this was a momentous victory. And he kept saying, it's hard to win in this league. Yeah. Really? It's hard to win against the Rockets, who are 29th of 30 teams in defensive efficiency?
In other words, you see, Skip, that's code. It's hard to win with this team.
With this team in this league. No, it is. But LeBron was on fire. I'm going to give you masterpiece, virtuoso, whatever you want to tag it. Masterful.
Yes.
It was all of the above. He was sensational. He played his big old tail off last night against a little tiny Rockets team whose tallest player to start was 6'9" Christian Wood. And their starting lineup went 6'9", 6'4", 6'4", 6'5", and 6'3". Okay, so they were very small. So LeBron had to play the 5. Smart move, shrewd move by LeBron and/or David Fizdale. And he wasn't good. He was great. It was one of the great 19th year performances you will ever see.
Yeah.
But you have to discount because of the opposition who had just lost the night before at Charlotte by 24 points. And it came to this. It was still a basketball game with 2.5 minutes left.
It was.
And it took a clutch 3 by Carmelo Anthony, who is also in his 9th year and is actually about 6 months older than LeBron is. He's about to turn in a couple days 37.
37.
So obviously Melo's already 37.
Tomorrow, yep.
Hey, Carmelo he's making 41% of his threes on the year. That includes 46% at home. He was only 31% on the road, and he made that shot. And he made 4 of 8 threes last night. And Carmelo shocks me because I knew and loved the old Carmelo. Remember the back to the basket where Kobe said, because of his caboose, he's the hardest guard I have in the league because he's just so physical and strong. Well, this guy's reinvented himself now as nothing but a catch and shoot. And they said on the local Laker telecast last night, Carmelo Anthony is leading the league in catch and shoot 3-point percentage. Right. Where when you just catch it and fire, he is leading. I'm not sure what the percentage is, but it's probably up around 50%.
But Skip, he had to reinvent himself.
He did.
Because Carmelo could only see himself as the guy that's getting all the touches, shooting the ball 20, 25 times a game, and that was no longer the case. He still can back you down, Skip. He still got that 1 foot back you down, but he's mainly a 3-point guy.
It's not even a part of their offense, right?
Nope.
So back to your point, do you realize that the young Rockets shot 46% from 3 because the Lakers just don't guard the line? You can get them. If you make them, you make them, okay? So they made it.
The Spurs.
And the Spurs, And they hung in the game because they kept making big threes. And Jalen Green, he's going to be a player because he's a scorer. Cade Cunningham is a better basketball player all around. But Jalen Green could just flat out score the basketball.
He can.
And when he got it going, he made that one shot where LeBron just said, I don't know what to do.
What you want us to do with that?
Okay, I got it. But still, all this, when I look at this 32 and 25, 24 and 24, I say, what was wrong with this? Well, what was wrong was Westbrook. 7 turnovers, right? It's just too many. It's too much demoralizing basketball where it just drags down LeBron. So it took LeBron, the whole game, he's mean mugging, he's flexing. I'm saying, LeBron, it's just the Rockets. But at the end of the game, I said, you desperately needed to do that. Right? It took one of the great performances of his career to beat the Rockets. It has come to this for the Lakers.
Hey, Chris, but if you notice, you see how LeBron started out? He scored 16 in the first quarter, 2 in the second quarter, none. He has to pace himself. Because if he goes out and tries to get 30 in the first half and tries to get another 10, he's going to be done come fourth quarter. And that's what we saw a lot of time earlier, Skip. He was getting up to these great starts, playing so many minutes, and now he has nothing. He just out of gas come fourth quarter. He paced himself. He took 1 shot in the third quarter, Skip, 1. And then come fourth quarter, he was able to step on the gas.
And to your point, Shannon, I think that's part of why LeBron and the Lakers wanted Russ. Because they thought with Russ out there, LeBron would be able to pace himself, right? And get some rest, whether he's on the bench or on the court, he wouldn't have to go all out. But now we know he does. The reason, look, I only give it a 3. I get it. You're right. If they lost that game, then today the sky is falling, right?
Yes.
But they weren't going to lose every game. They're going to win eventually. That was my thing. Like, I don't think this win was huge because it doesn't change anything. Like, you just beat a horrible young team. And that's why, like I said, if they win tonight, I'll be more impressed. I will give them this. Look. LeBron, I thought, and I get it, playing center today, like his first shot was a 3. His second was a 16-footer. His third was another 3. So it's not like you're down there banging with Patrick Ewing for 40 minutes, right? Yeah. But still, by him playing center, I thought he sent a nice message to the rest of the team. Like, LeBron's like, I'm willing to do anything this year to get us right. You see LeBron going for shot blocks. He usually does the chase down blocks. Right. But he's going, like, in the paint, jumping. That's why he got dunked on by Nick Claxton. And you know LeBron hates getting dunked on. But still, he's like, look, it's part of the game. I'm willing to play center. I think he's posting up a lot more than he typically has. And the guy that needs to get that message is Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis can play center today in this NBA. Nobody's asking you to be in the paint for 40 minutes anymore. So just like LeBron's willing to do anything to win, AD's got to watch this and take that message. And if he does, that could help the Lakers.
Chris, you said the Lakers beat a terrible young team. What do you think when the team play the Lakers? We beat a terrible old team. I mean, you make it seem like the Lakers are the Warriors or the Suns. Let's not forget, they're not even 500 yet.
So, Chris, sum this up for us. Do the Lakers win back-to-back at Memphis tonight?
I'm going to say no. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm going to say no.
I don't hope I'm wrong. I'm going to be right. They're not going to win. Sorry.
Oh, we're going to get this one.
Yeah, you're going to get it,
We're going to get it one.
Really?
They lost by 13. Memphis beat them by 13, a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
I smell a do-bet on this.
Yeah.
Maybe
Chris,
at the end of the show.
Thank you so much for joining us.
No mercy.
Sunday, the race for the playoffs continue on Fox with a huge doubleheader. It's a full slate of games with playoff implications highlighted by the Cardinals taking on the Cowboys in America's Game of the Week. Check local listings for the matchups in your area only on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Tom Brady revealed one of his New Year's resolutions on the latest episode of his podcast, saying, quote, "What I'd like to do is to complete an overhand toss with the Lombardi Trophy. None of these Patrick Mahomes underhand throws that he always does. I've got to complete one overhand Lombardi Trophy toss on a boat parade. That would be a great way to get the new year started right on that type of rhythm. That's what I'm going to envision." Skip, what is your reaction to this?
Shannon Sharpe. You know how much I love me some Tom Brady.
Uh-huh.
And you're going to say I'm reading too much into this, but I was taken aback by it. I believe that Tom Brady was just asked a pretty simple question about New Year's resolutions.
Right.
And when he leaped to this, I want to throw an overhand Lombardi Trophy toss from boat to boat during a parade. It was so brazen, it was so audacious, that it tells me that he knows something that I'm not sure of. He believes they're going to get pretty healthy for the playoff run. And if they do, when I look at this roster from top to bottom, if they're only missing Chris Godwin, period, end of story, because we know he's gone for the year, I believe that Brady believes they have an even better chance of winning it all this year, right here, right now. And he predicted, and you've criticized him for it, will be even better next year. Well, I think he believes they are better. And I got to tell you, if you look harder and harder at what they have, if they're all healthy, reasonably healthy, it is as loaded. This is the best team, and I don't even think it's even close. When you get healthy with Carlton Davis and Sean Murphy Bunting at corner, with Jamel Dean as the sort of the third corner, and then that secondary of the Antoine Winfield when he comes back, and Jordan Whitehead, who's just playing his tail off, and Mike Edwards, who came back obviously from his suspension, and then are those two inside backers pretty great?
Yeah.
And obviously Devin White and Levante David. Shaq Barrett, if he comes back strong and healthy, and JPP, and that Joe Tryon that they drafted, he's just wreaking havoc, man. Right. He's starting to look like Randy Gregory to me. And Sue and Vita Vea, they're number one against the run. So what's not to like with Todd Bowles as their coordinator? I know you don't like it, but I love what's there.
But Skip, see, that's too many. You got to hope this guy comes back. I can see if you like, okay, if such and such, but you got to get Leonard Fournette back. You got to get Shaq Barrett back.
He's supposed to be.
It's so many. You got to get Mike Evans healthy and up to speed.
All right.
It's just so many things that it's different than last year because there was no ifs. The only if they continue to play like they're playing, there was nobody out of the lineup that they were hoping to get back. They weren't missing anybody.
They lost Antoine Winfield in the NFC Championship
game. But now you're going to be going into the game. Shaq Barrett is not coming back anytime this year. You hoping.
Well, not in the regular
season.
Yeah.
But you're hoping with a sprained ACL and a sprained MCL, he can come back. And if he comes back, at what level is he going to be back? Because last year he was playing at an elite level.
He was.
He didn't have the type of regular season, but come postseason, he was like he was the year before, Skip, when he had those 19 sacks.
All right. Pro Football Focus ranks the offensive line as a pass-blocking line second in the league. Yeah. I think you would concur.
Yeah, no question. Okay.
What if Fournette does come back? And you got Rojo, and you got my little man Keyshawn Vaughn, who yesterday Bruce Arians said could be a lead dog. He's that good. He could be a number one back.
Right.
Is Gio going to come back? He's got a hip injury, but they say it's possible he's going to come back. Then let's look down the receiving core. If all these guys are healthy, A.B. Gronk, Mike Evans, Cam Brate, O.J. Howard, Tyler Johnson, Scotty Miller, Broussard Perriman, Cyril Grayson. It's loaded, man. It's good enough without Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin was a possession receiver. He wasn't Devontae Adams who just takes games over.
But every big catch they needed last postseason, who made it? Chris Godwin. Every third down.
I don't know.
Chris
Gronk made a bunch.
Skip.
Tyler Johnson made one.
No, Tyler Johnson made the one in New Orleans. But if you go back and look at Washington, you go back and look at that championship game against Green Bay. It was Chris Godwin on that big third down to start the game. They ended up getting a first down, led him to a touchdown. He made big play after big play.
Mike Evans led him in catches, and he just is.
Skip,
He's 6'5".
Yeah, but Skip, I just think for whatever reason, Brady and Mike Evans really don't have the connection on the outside of the red zone that he has with a Chris Godwin, that he has with an AB, that he has with a Gronk. Now, I believe Gronk, hey, they were asking an awful lot of Gronk. Skip, remember last year, they didn't use Gronk lean on Gronk as heavily in the regular season as they did this year. So hopefully they haven't worn him down and he still has some juice to give you come postseason, because he gave you a lot of juice in the postseason. We kind of saw him wear down towards the end of the year because they had a lot of guys in and out of the lineup. But look, at this juncture of Tom's career, Skip, this is all he plays for. Because he's going to break some record because he's been playing so long. He's going to be a completion record. It's going to be a touchdown record. It's going to be a record. But for him, it's all about Lombardies.
Well, I thought when he's asked his New Year's resolution, I got to spend more time with my wife.
He didn't say that.
Right?
No, he didn't say that. No.
Okay. Well, it's all about, I want to throw the trophy overhanded. And he was asked, well, how exactly would you put, because it's heavy.
Yeah, it's 7 pounds, 22 inches. They got sharp edges, got 3 prongs on the bottom.
And his answer was, how would you do it? He says, it depends how much avocado tequila I've had. Okay?
He throws that thing overhead, it's going to the bottom of whatever body of water they're on.
River.
It's going to the bottom.
Right.
If he throws that thing overhead.
Okay, well, I'm not betting against him on that either.
Skip, you know good well that man wasn't going to say his New Year's resolution is to spend more time at home. He's thinking in the back of his head, I got the rest of my life to spend at home. I don't got the rest of my life to play football.
Okay, but this is a pretty outrageous statement to just leap to, I want to throw it overhanded. Yeah. Well, that would presume you won it.
Yes, you got to win 4 games again.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So, but Skip, you got to realize now that man is supremely confident now. Okay. He's like, all I want to do is an opportunity to get in the tournament.
Do you think he would have said this his last year in New England?
Well, he's never said anything about this. No, that's not how they speak in New England, Skip. You know everything is cliche.
Okay, but I don't think he had nearly this much confidence the last couple of years.
No, he didn't have this level of talent. But here's the thing, Skip. Everything is. Remember how all the old guard jumped on Mac Jones when he said we didn't have no energy, we didn't have no fire, because it was so far of what they've been coached. We say this, we don't get outside of here, we don't get outside of there, we stay right down.
Didn't like a rookie speaking for the team.
Right.
Even a rookie quarterback.
So Tom is going to be all cliched up. That's what you get in New England. And as soon as they go elsewhere, they let their hair down. Okay. Tom is letting his hair down. This is who he is.
Okay, well, this is... You mostly would say this is completely out of bounds, right?
Oh, well, I mean, I don't think I wouldn't have said anything like that. But Skip, everybody knows what Tom is playing for. Tom is a big game hunter. Tom don't go pheasant hunting. He going to get some big trophy. He ain't trying to get no little bird. Get no quail hunting, dove hunting. No, that's fine and good. But no, Tom's a big game hunter.
He wants a lion?
He wants something about 22 inches tall, so it should be about here. Yep. Weighs about 7 pounds. And it's probably one of the most recognizable.
You think it only weighs 7?
I think it only weighs 7 pounds.
Well, then he can throw 7.
But here's the Skip. You see the bottom? You see how he threw it underhand, and Cameron Brate had to catch it. Imagine throwing the overhand with those prongs on the bottom.
I thought the catch was better than the throw.
Yes,
because man, to catch that thing hurtling through the air.
I mean, it's sharp on the sides, but it's those prongs on the bottom that you got to worry about. He throws that thing overhand. Either it's going to hit the deck, it's going to have a huge dent in it, like when a Gronk hit the baseball at Fenway Park with it, and it got a dent in it. He throws that thing overhand. It's either going in that body of water, or it's going to have a ginormous dent when it hit the bottom of that boat.
I got to say, even underhanded, two-handed, that might be the greatest throw of his career. Yeah. And it took a few tequilas to get him to the place to do it, right?
Skip, it's easier to throw like this than to throw 7 pounds.
You get your full body behind it, right?
Well, I don't know who's going to try and catch it overhand. But that thing going to hit the water. And Gronk probably dive in there after it. That's what I bet. If it happens, Gronk's going in after it.
Well, I'm not going to bet against it happening again. I'm not going to bet against it.
This is the most difficult task, Skip, because I don't know, even if the guys come back, I don't know at what level they're going to be healthy.
Okay, well, you said yesterday, period, end of story, they are done for this year. They're not getting back.
I don't believe they get to the Super Bowl. I do not. No, I do not.
He's telling you we're coming for it.
Well, hold on, Skip. So what the Cowboys going to do in all this? You said the Cowboys going to be out here in SoFi. Now, 2 NFC teams can't be in SoFi. Now, something going on. Now, what's going on, Skip?
We'll see.
Yeah. You got to have to root. You going to have to root against the Cowboys.
Right now, I'm just rooting for Kirk Cousins. I love me some Kirk Cousins. Come on, Kirk.
You root against the Cowboys. Jerry, Dak, you hear that? Zeke. You root against the Cowboys. You said the man going to do it.
Well, I told you, if Brady's team gets healthy, it's over.
So you taking them over the Cowboys?
Well, you just told me they're not going to get healthy.
No. You tell me.
You told me they're not going to get healthy.
I just want to hear you say it. You taking them over the Cowboys?
I don't know. We got to get to that moment.
You already there. You already said they get healthy.
Well, who did I pick in opening night at Tampa? Who did I pick?
You picked Tampa.
Thank you.
But you say your team. Your team is on caught fire. Nobody's playing like your team on both sides. We got Michael and the Marauders level from heaven.
Do you disagree? Yeah, I got you on the run.
One team is healthy.
On the ropes.
One team is healthy. The other team you're hoping is going to get healthy.
No, I better knock on wood over here because Cowboy things do happen to Dallas Cowboys.
Let's go, Jalen Hurts.
No mercy.
In a new podcast, Draymond Green revealed that his former teammate Kevin Durant is one of the biggest trash talkers in the league. Green elaborated and added, quote, "It would be disrespectful stuff like, hey, who is this?" KD would turn a dude around like trying to look at the back of his jersey to see his name on the back. K would say stuff to people like, "Yo, Kevin, you're Kevin Durant. There's not much I can really say back." So, Shannon, how surprised were you to hear this about KD?
I'm surprised because he just seems like so quiet. I just never pictured Kevin Durant as a trash talker. I mean, he's unguardable. But I think it's great when the great players, I mean, Mike, you knew Mike talked. You could just see. Larry, you had, once I heard like, hold on, Larry Bird talk trash? Really? Yo, he talks more than anybody on the court and be busting people up. Kobe, you just naturally assume that Kobe would talk trash. But I just never had Kevin Durant pegged as a trash talker, Skip. No problem that he would. I think that same thing with that Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers talked more trash than anybody. He's a quarterback.
But he's almost yelling trash, right?
He's getting into it with the quarterback on the opposing team from across the field. He's yelling at defensive. They had it mic'd up and he threw a touchdown on Jacksonville. And he's yelling in the defensive lineman's ear. He's like, "Man, don't yell in my ear." "Okay, I will yell in your ear." He's like, "Come on, bro."
It's all G-rated.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to see you after the game. You keep doing this. But I'm surprised. I would have never guessed Kevin Durant talk trash. But I mean, as skilled as he is, I mean, why not? I mean, I talk trash, and I wasn't the player Kevin Durant is, but it just to get me going, Skip.
But you scream trash, right?
Yeah, because I was provoked. So
I think you provoked.
Kevin Durant's not provoked.
Okay.
Everybody know how like you said, when he turned to the media, like, y'all know who I am, right? I'm Kevin Durant. Y'all know me.
Okay. I was double shocked over this. I was like, no, I'm sorry. I'm not buying this because they have become close after they had their parting of the ways. You know what happened.
They had one bad moment.
One really bad moment. And yet Draymond saying, outside of me, because Draymond thinks he's the baddest trash talker, and he probably is. I get Draymond.
That one that he gave Paul Pierce?
Oh, God.
That was Skip, and it was all quiet and you could hear it. You thought they were going to give you a going away like Kobe. They don't love you like that.
It was ruthless, man. It got him, too.
It hurt.
Yeah, it just took the knees right out from under him. So the Kevin Durant I've watched a billion times is stoic. He is emotionless. I don't see it. I can't. He doesn't pound his chest. He doesn't flex. He doesn't do anything. Right. He just ices you. You know, like it's just like cold-blooded killing. Where he just makes shot after shot and just trots back up the court like, don't you
Probably
know
the most emotional, Skip, I saw him when he had that 50-point triple-double, that one game, and he hit that three late in the shot clock, and he's running back up the court like, ooh, I'm cooking today. That was the most emotion I had actually seen from him in a game as far as making a shot. I understand, we love the game, Skip, but I'm surprised. I did not see Kevin Durant as a trash talker.
Okay. It was funny what Draymond said about like some younger player who thinks he's a hot shot. Right. He would turn him around and look at his name on his back and say, "Who are you?" Okay, that works. That's effective trash talk, right? But the rest of it, I'm not sure I'm buying it, because Larry Bird, your favorite player growing up, I first learned of this from my man Mark Aguirre when I was covering the Mavericks in Dallas. Mark Aguirre, for those who don't remember, could really score.
Oh, yeah, he could put the ball up. Yeah.
Ooh, wow. You want to talk about a turnaround off the glass jump shooter? As deadly as I've ever seen.
Right.
But when he went up to Boston Garden for the first time, Larry Bird destroyed him, not only on the court, but he destroyed him psychologically. And Dick Motta, the coach, told me after the game that he got into Mark's head, but it's whispered trash talk.
Right.
It's not blatant. It's not overt. It's whispered at the free throw line. It's just leaning over and saying, you ain't, you know what.
You can't guard me, home.
You can't guard me, or watch what I'm about to do to you. But it's quiet trash talk, and it's not, to the naked eye, as you're watching on TV, you can't absorb it. It doesn't come across to you. Well, is the Kevin, is he the next Larry Bird, the master of the whispered trash talk?
Right.
Nobody ever talks about it. Nobody ever acknowledges it or sort of honors it, like, oh, Kevin destroyed me psychologically. I've never heard one player say that about Kevin Durant.
But it's just, the thing is, Skip, I mean, like, what do you do? I mean, it's not like, man, I D'd up KD. How? I mean, what can you do to stop him? You just hope he misses. You can test the shot and pray that he misses. It's not like you can block that shot.
Yep. So one night, let's do Michael Jordan, United Center. Vashawn Leonard had lit them up in a game in Miami, and the revisit came at the United Center, the house that Michael built. And all through the game, I'm sitting courtside watching this, actually on the end line is where they had the media. And every free throw, Vashawn Leonard was their guard, so he would go back, you know, to be the guy who was back, and he'd go to the far free throw line. Mike would go with him all the way back and just lean over and just talk in his ear the whole time. And you know what he was telling him. But it was pretty blatant. It wasn't loud. It was whispered, but you could see it right before your very eyes. He is trying to humiliate and annihilate this young man. And did he ever?
Because, Skip, even a lot of guys, like, when they make a shot on somebody, they're like, they're rock the baby, or they're like, Kevin Durant, he never does this.
Never does.
He never does this too small. He doesn't do any gestures that would suggest that he's trash talking somebody on the court. At least LeBron, LeBron did the dance, and LeBron, pounded his chest. I mean, every once in a while you see Kevin Durant pull his shirt thing to the side, like, ooh. But I was surprised hearing Draymond say that's like, damn, KD like that? Now, I can see, Skip, like, if we play a pickup, like he in the gym, okay, I can see that.
Sure.
I can see KD in a pickup game, yes. But in an actual game, I didn't peg that. Jordan, yes. Kobe, yeah. Some guys, you just like, okay, yeah, he out there talking.
I got it. I think Draymond, now that they've become best friends, I think he was exaggerating just to try to sort of pump up KD a little bit.
You don't think he trash talk?
Nope, I do not. I'd love to hear if he does.
KD, you trash talk?
Tell us about it.
No mercy.
Steph Curry became the first player in NBA history to make 3,000 three-pointers, drilling one at the end of the third quarter to mark the milestone. Steph finished with 23 points, but it wasn't enough as the Warriors suffered a rare home loss, falling 89-86 to the Nuggets. Shannon, what was your biggest takeaway from the game?
Well, it's just an off night for Steph. I'm not worried about him, Skip, because previously he has scored 30-plus. Dropped 46 on Memphis, dropped 33 on Phoenix in their building on Christmas Day. So I'm not overly concerned. They did play this game without Jordan Poole. They did play this game without the heartbeat of their team, the guy that does so much for them defensively, and he initiates a lot of the offense. He's their best screener in Draymond Green. And they were right there. Nikola Jokic, he didn't have great efficiency, but he was 22 and 18 coming off a 29 and 21 ball game. So for them to still have an opportunity, Steph just got it going late, Skip. He was, what did he have, 2 points in the first half? And then he got cooking in the fourth quarter, had 15 points. But he's going to be there, Skip. And, look, every shot that Steph shoot from three is a record from here on out. So can we stop talking about it, Skip? He's broken the record. It's just like Brady. Every pass that he throws now is a record. Every yard that he gets is a record. Every touchdown he gets is a record. So we don't need to remind everybody that Steph now has the NBA. He had the record. Steph is going to be fine. The Warriors are going to be fine. And eventually, Skip, guess what? They're going to get Klay Thompson back in the next probably 2 weeks to a month.
Yep.
They're going to get James Wiseman back. And they're going to be even deeper than what they already are. I'm not saying Klay is going to pick up where he left off like KD did after his injury. Because you got to realize now, Clay has missed 2 years, missed 1 year with an ACL, was coming back toward the Achilles, missed another season.
Did.
So if he can give you 70% of what he was, work his way back to probably 80, 90%, and eventually get back all the way, it's gonna be, they're gonna be just fine. They'll be right there when it's all said and done.
Yeah, last night at home, the Golden State Warriors, featuring Steph Curry, scored 86 total points.
Yep.
86 points?
Yeah.
And lost 89 to 86.
They had 36 in the first half.
Okay, 36 points in the first half. Steph played, right?
Yep.
He played a lot of minutes, right? He played
30, almost 39 minutes.
Okay, a little over 30. I got 39.05. And he went 5 of 14 from 3. To your point, he heated up in the fourth quarter. Way to go. But he was 1 for 8 through the first 3 quarters. So you said he had an off night. Well, he's actually having an off year so far.
From 3.
From 3. He's plummeted down to 39.7% from 3. That is his career low.
He plummeted, huh?
Okay, well, he's the greatest shooter ever. We all agree.
But he's shooting more threes than he normally would shoot, Skip.
Yeah, because he is now a career high 13.5 a game. 13.5. Obviously, he's been under huge pressure to break Ray Allen's record.
Right.
And even some pressure he probably felt last night to get to 3,000, right? I give you all the above, but this team is going to go as far as Steph shoots this team. I don't care what you say, it will come down to that.
Right.
There's no more Kevin Durant to save you, right?
Nope.
So how old is Steph Curry? Well, in March, he turns 34 years of age. This is his 13th season. How time flies. It seems like yesterday that we were debating Blake Griffin versus Steph Curry in the draft, right? 13th season. Man, I think there's a lot of building pressure on Steph to live up to the three-point records with playoff success and achievement at the highest level, because most people are conceding now this is the team to beat.
Right.
Correct? Okay, I know Phoenix, I get that. But most people say this is the team. And to your point, Clay is going to come back. We're not sure how he's going to come back. And James Wiseman will give them
size.
A level that they don't have, a defensive level of rim protection and some offensive bully ball potential that they don't have, okay? I get all that. Still, they'll go as far as Steph shoots them. He has not lived up to his regular season MVPs in the postseason.
No.
He's never had, obviously, a finals MVP.
Right.
This is his year, and I do think there's huge pressure on Steph Curry to come through at the highest level this year, and he's got a chance. You could argue he's got the best team.
Yeah, Skip, I just think the thing, he had an off night. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure on him to be great every single night, especially since Clay isn't there. Draymond wasn't there last night to initiate a lot of offense. Steph Curry normally doesn't play 39 minutes in a regulation ball game. He's normally around 34, 35 minutes. So that just lets you know that he played a lot more minutes than Steve Kerr would like for him to play. But they're going to, Skip, when they get Wiseman and they get Clay back, and Jordan Poole, I mean, just think about that lineup. Gary Payton II, he started last night. Toscano Anderson, he started last night. These guys are going to be coming off the bench.
Okay.
And they're great.
So you agree. You conclude this is the best team, right?
Yeah, I believe in the West. I think get healthy with the Brooklyn Nets getting Kyrie now and the way James Harden started playing. No. They're not the best team in the NBA. The Nets are.
Okay, but best in the West.
Yeah.
Okay, Steph, you're on.
Oh, you don't think he's gonna do it today?
I have my doubts. Okay. He's never come through like he should before.
He has come through. Stop saying that.
Smaller than he is.
No, actually, he has not.
He has.
No mercy.
Their 5-game skid yesterday, but now they're set to play Memphis on the second night of a back-to-back. According to Fox Bet Sportsbook, the Grizzlies are 5-point favorites against the Purple and Gold. Shannon, who wins and what's the score?
I can't. I'm like you, Skip. I can't pick against the Lakers.
No?
You don't pick against the Cowboys. The Tom Brady. I can't pick against LeBron.
Really?
I think the Lakers win by 2. I know it's tough. LeBron just played 40 minutes last night. It's a back-to-back. Ja just hit the game winner 2 nights ago against Phoenix, and so the Grizzlies are favored by 5. But I'm gonna say the Lakers. They pull it out.
I will take the home team for 1 case of Diet Mountain Dew. I'm not going to give you 5 points?
Yes!
You're the Lakers. LeBron just gave you a masterpiece of a virtuoso of an all-time great 19th year game.
You just tell me, how old is he? 53, 42. So now, give me 5 points.
Huh?
5 points
It's
for a
almost
case.
his birthday. This is going to be a birthday present to himself.
Give me
right?
5. I tell you what. Give me 4 points for a case.
4 points?
For a case.
I don't have Dylan Brooks. He's in COVID protocol.
You got John Morant.
I got Ja.
And you got Jaren Jackson. Mm-hmm. And you got Steven Adams.
I got Desmond Bain.
And you got Bain. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I love Desmond Bain.
Okay. Well, give me the points.
I'll give you 3 points right now for one case. 3
4
points done.
4.
Oh, stop it.
Skip, the man just played a back-to-back. Really?
3.5.
You just, hold on. You told me the Rockets, they flew cross-country and played Charlotte. That's a young team.
Okay.
Give me 4.
3.5 for
4
case?
points. 4 points.
Okay, I pity you. I give you 4.
GOAT got this, Skip. You know what he gonna do?
The GOAT?
GOAT got this one.
Yeah.
Another 30-point game.
The GOAT's 53 years old.
Yeah. You didn't want to give up no points, but you're going to come in here tomorrow disappointed.
Let's go. Lake Show. That's it for us. We'll be back tomorrow, but don't go anywhere because the herd starts right now with Colin.